the MCAS, for example, like it was like, as Dr. Chamberlain said, like a 1-day point. This can consistently grow with them. So they can, they can have their own, so what one child is reading is going to be different from another, but they're each going to be trying to attempt to get to that goal. So instead of like I gotcha, like, oh, you didn't do it, you're not working hard, let's see how we can penalize you. This is actually going to say like, well, you didn't do well, so like let's work on getting you to that level. So it's
It also
less,
does, it puts a lot of emphasis on growth
yeah,
versus where you end, right? It's how much did you grow from where you started?
it's very like positive. Like
Yeah.
even when I look at the iReady stuff, even for my middle schooler, I'm like, oh my God, look how much you grew. So they don't ever talk about like, they say like, this is where you should be in this blue shaded area, but the blue shaded area is like this big.
Yeah.
So you can be at the bottom, you can be at the top, you can be somewhere in the middle, and it's okay. But as long as you're making growth, that's like the most important piece.
Okay.
The next one is a professional practice goal, which is around reflection on practice. So we're going to be talking a lot during principal meetings about reflection on practice and that of their teachers and how we have more productive dialogue around teaching and learning. Because, it's, we all try to measure ourselves all the time versus like, well, maybe I can just do something different and it's going to be better, rather than either this is how I've always done it or the kids do fine with this, I don't need to change, right? So that whole idea of reflective practice. And it ties somewhat to the next two. This second one, this district improvement goal around cultural proficiency, this is very similar to what I had last year as well, because this is something that we've only really started our journey around cultural proficiency and competency. At my opening remarks with the staff, I talked about, right, we all need to be open and accepting and learning and listening to kids. But what we also can do very easily is that if we see something that we know is wrong, someone being bothered because of their race or their hair or their clothes or their accent or, the color of their skin, we can be the model to interrupt that behavior, right? And I think those are the moments then that we need to talk through with, like, well, why did that happen? Why is that a thing? Why would a child say that to another child? What kind of education do we need to bring in? So that's going to tie to those conversations that we have on reflective practice. But I think I was pretty clear with staff that the expectation is, because what I said to them was, if we don't interrupt the behavior, we are in essence condoning the behavior, right? And it's giving that offender the right to continue to do whatever they're doing. And so if we at least take that step, and I said, if that you interrupted and then you need help because you're not sure how to handle it, that's what we're all here for, right? Those are the conversations we have, so, yeah. And again, further, the second district improvement goal is related to teaching and the evaluation process for teachers. So last year, we all went through some additional training around giving good feedback. I think now this year, the idea is I'm going to be monitoring the feedback to some degree that principals are giving, and we're going to talk about it, like, how did that go? How did the teacher take it? What could we have said differently? How could we have approached it differently? Because we really need to open up that conversation between administrators and teachers. Again, continuous improvement and how we can always get better. So if there are any other areas that you think are important that I should add or change, I am more than happy to do that as well.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Dr. Chamberlain?
Through the chair, those are going to be some difficult conversations.
Yeah.
I did a course way back in the day, and it was through UMass. It was called How to Have a Crucial Conversation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It was a whole series. And I feel like that would tie in, and it's free. UMass Medical School does it for all their students and their faculty. And it's like how you put meaning into, having a conversation that you don't want to have. Like, you don't want to be here, but we have to be here. How do we handle and put meaning and get something out of it? It was fabulous, and I think it's only like 2 hours.
Yeah. So some of the training that we went through last year, so every 3
Yeah.
weeks, we had an online session with Kim Marshall, who's great.
Yeah.
And some of what he talks about is just that. Like, how do you give praise in an appropriate way so that you're
Right.
praising, right? And then on the flip side, how do you give that kind of critical feedback when that needs to happen, but in the sense, you want the person to do better, right? To know-
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we did talk a lot about that last year when that, in that
I
training
can,
as
I can
well.
get the link if you guys want to even look at it, because it is free.
Sure.
I enjoyed it. Of course, everything is with the instructor that you had, and he was
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
10 out of 10, right? But like just the simple things that you don't think about, like, well, you're talking and I'm trying to like have this, like I want to have my, and then you turn off and you're like, yep, sure. And then you're like, okay, now we've stopped. There's no more meaning here. How do we put the meaning back in?
Right.
It was just how to break it down and dive in to the hardest things that you're doing,
Sure.
So-
Yeah, if you could send that along.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's great
Absolutely.
information. Just one comment with your goal number 1 here and the reflection on the isms and everything. I'm relieved that we are continuing this thread through our curriculum and teachings. I feel like the world is turning in the opposite direction, and I'm glad that we're still paddling in the right direction.
Agreed.
Equality and equity
Yeah.
and inclusion. So,
Our kids need it.
yes, definitely.
They deserve it.
All right.
So you need to accept my goals?
Oh, yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent goal for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next item is up for discussion around the school committee meeting time. There had been some conversation about potentially moving the meetings to 5:30 from the current time of 6 PM, but I put it to the committee if there's an interest and a desire to do that.
So, yeah, I think you had mentioned potentially struggling.
So I would be coming in hot, if you will, which I normally do anyway. So, I mean, 30 minutes I don't think is a huge, we just got to reshuffle the deck a little bit. It's because everything is on Wednesday in my life, all of the things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm down for, I mean, I couldn't do 5, but 5:30 I think is something that's feasible as long as we don't mind if I am
Come in a little sweaty and hot.
fashionably on time.
Like sneak in behind the desk.
Yes.
And if it's a real struggle down the road, it's a half hour, we can shift it back or whatever.
Through the chair, my one concern is it seems, as you said, Wednesdays seem to be like a crazy day, but is there a way that we can kind of, like, the school should be aware of our calendar, and yet, we have three elementaries, like one lower, one upper, and then we have 2 middle school parents on the committee. Is there a way that we can kind of ask the principals to try to avoid school committee days?
Been there, done that.
It's very hard.
Did it again when I met with them. All of our, so we have a district calendar. There was some confusion about calendars. We've straightened that out. And all of our meetings are in that calendar, and we specifically talked about it at the principal meetings to say, that's why we have this calendar, is so that there aren't these conflicts.
I understand like a cancellation for like a snow, like I get
Yes,
that.
yeah.
Like,
No, but
fine,
we
but
have asked them.
There's days where, and I also feel bad because there was the thing at Swanson Road today, so, both Dr. Lopez and I are like running over here, we're trying, so just if they could be mindful a little bit.
Yep.
I think if we
High school
know,
doesn't
yeah, like
None
if
of
we
us are
know
mindful.
what's going on too, I think we also accommodate, like if there was the band, we would just like, let's come in, let's get right to it. I think that there's an understanding.
Yeah.
And there's a flex because life is flex,
Yeah, just, it's sometimes hard, sometimes if there's like parent-teacher conferences one time on the same night as school committee, it's like, the only time I could get was, I'm like, well, I don't want to have to pick and choose, because
No, nor should you have to. I agree.
I want to be
completely
here every
agree.
time, but also at the same time, like, I want to be there for my children, so.
Yep, yep.
So if we could just be like, little
So it's
reminder.
the children, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're here for the kids, yeah.
Just through the chair, one of those exceptions would be athletics.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that is multiple districts.
No,
and
no,
all
I'm not
that,
talking
so-
about that. I'm talking about
No, no,
like
no, I just wanted to just put
band
that out there.
concert,
No, I-
parents' night, things like, and the high school, like, none of us have high school kids right now, so it's totally fine.
I know, but I'm just putting that out there.
You're not changing the
Because,
football schedule.
No, no, we're not
That's
changing the
fine.
football schedule. That's
Soccer,
totally fine.
you know,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is, But I will say that Dr. Chamberlain has asked
Yeah.
many times, and it is, it's challenging.
It's a
to-
hard- there's
it
a
is
lot of moving
challenging.
parts.
There's a lot
Whatever
that
day it
they're
is,
trying to do.
it is what it is, you know.
Even if we moved the day, then it would be something else, I think.
And we've
so.
always accommodated, like,
Doesn't
last year,
really-
the band concert, we were like, can we meet an hour earlier, you know?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
they'll be
Wednesday is
special.
a really nice day, and coming early, we're gonna love this when we budget, because then we don't have to be here until 9 o'clock. So like, I think I am 100% for it for that, because being here and going through 333,675,908 is
Takes
a
a little while.
long day, and 5:30, maybe 7:30, we could be out, you know? Like, that to me, I'm like, all
It gets
right.
these guys home a half hour early, which,
Long day.
Well, and the principals too,
Be
when they come
different.
for all those meetings, which those are the long ones, as you
Right,
pointed
and,
out.
but there's no way around it, and you just have to
Yeah.
do it, and it is the job that you signed up for,
Yeah.
right? That
Okay,
I was
so-
elected to, I don't know what, no, just kidding. But I'm okay with the 5:30, we just make it work.
all right, and I think Brooke said she was on board too, so.
Yeah, I think she said that that was okay, and
Yeah.
I can pledge of allegiance in the hallway, so.
Alright, I'll make a motion to move the start time to the school committee meeting to 5:30 PM from the current 6 PM time.
And I will gladly second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now you have to remind me, because I'll be late.
Well, I was in the parking lot at 5:30 today.
Yeah, see, you were ahead of the
Works
game.
out.
5:35, so that's okay. We're good.
Okay, so 5:30, that works. All right, we'll turn it over to Mr. Keller for the teaching and learning report.
Oh, we, the
Oh.
food policy updates.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry, yeah, I
That's
skipped
okay.
right over
So I
that.
am gonna ask, Mrs. Stanek, if anyone has any questions. I don't know if you had a time to read through it. I will tell you that, we have folks that are chomping at the bit to do some fundraising, whether it's our teams or whoever they are, at this point. But in talking with Mrs. Stanek, we really needed to tighten up some processes about, to make sure that we're not overwhelming our community with the number of fundraisers, that we're not overwhelming certain students, asking them to do fundraising. And so these policies are an attempt to kind of rein that all in a little bit and to track it. So there, it does build in an approval process that any fundraising has to be approved first by the superintendent, by the principal, and then by the superintendent. So I don't know if anyone had any chance to read them, and if not, we'll certainly go to a second read, but we are hoping to, in fairly short time, get these approved for folks to get started on, so.
So I did.
Yep.
I did, through the chair. And there was one that kind of made me a little, why do we have this? And it was something about door-to-door sales and safety concerns. So I, 100%, like a little bell went off, and I was like, why is this? Do we do this? I've never,
We don't. So that was part of some of that was part of the previous,
Okay.
the policy that's been in place. But as you know, in the organization you work in, sometimes you have to state the obvious to make
Okay.
sure that there's not a question about it. We haven't had any problem, but I will tell you, there's another line in there about near streets.
right,
We did have that.
examples of,
We
okay.
did have that. So
Okay.
that's why that's been added in. But no, we've not, that whole door-to-door thing, but you know what? We have to state it, because if it isn't there, and then someone does it, they're gonna say, well, it wasn't there.
Right, okay. So that kind of made me like concerned. I don't know if am looking for more verbiage or what. I will read it again a little more in depth where I can think about it.
Sure.
That was a concern. And then the other thing that I didn't see, and again, I did just briefly kind of
Yep.
like get through this, is there going to be an option for students, like, how do I say this? Is there an amount that every student has to raise, and they could just pay that instead of doing any of the fundraising? So let's say the seniors, each student for field day or this field trip needs to fundraise $50.
Yep.
And the parents would rather just write you a check
Yep.
for the 50 instead of selling the wrapping paper or the peanuts or the whatever.
So that I think I'm gonna have to do a little bit of checking, because I'm not aware of any fundraisers where we say you have to raise so much money. It's typically you raise what you can, and then in some cases, like, so for some of the trips that we've had, right, they've done some fundraisers for the, like, the
So
trips
not
to
for
Europe.
those, but I'm just saying for like the stuff that every student, all 100% of them are invited to and allowed to,
Like
you know.
usually PTO, isn't it?
I think typically.
Right, but that's only for the little kids. They don't have PTO for high school or middle school.
Yeah, they have
Right.
ARC Junior for the middle school.
They have a PTO for most.
But I don't know that they ever say you have to raise this, and I know going way back, I used to do just that with my kids, because I didn't like fundraisers. So I'd be like, here you go.
I didn't know if that was
50
going
bucks.
to
I'm not
be
doing it.
an option, like if you knew, like the end of the year fun field trips to Hanover or to whatever Six Flags, whatever they do, if there was like an amount or an approximate amount where the families that don't want to do the things can still participate and make sure that their kid can.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's, and you can jump in, Jen, but I don't know that we approach it that way.
I don't believe that we've approached it that way, and not in my experience here with the Auburn Public Schools as a principal either. The other piece is, that wasn't stated really in the MASC policy. I think that would be more whoever is the group representative of the fundraising, that we would just encourage them to, you know, allow in-kind donations as opposed to having to do the fundraising.
I just know for me, I am that parent
Oh,
where
I
I'd be
was
like,
too, yeah.
you know,
No, I
like
totally
if
get that.
but I want to participate. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't want to just be like, well, I'm not doing that. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, is $25 enough? Is $50 enough? Like, what is the monetary amount that I can feel satisfied that I've participated, right? So where you're like, I don't want to fundraise, and then you've got the whatever. Sometimes, I mean, some of these kids, they do crazy amount of fundraising, and that's enough for like almost the whole class, just one kid, right?
No, I think
Like-
sometimes the balance is, so sometimes, and I know you're not talking about the trips, but for those, right, what the kids fundraise, I think there's, if you fundraise a lot, then a lot comes off the amount of the trip, right?
Right.
But most of the fundraisers we do, whatever is fundraised, is shared by the team or the group. It's kind of equally,
Right.
you know, so there isn't, they don't come out and say, every kid's got to raise $50, or this is what, they don't ever come out and say that, I don't think. But I am going to check to make sure, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's an approach that we take.
Because like if you have like the little you can click to donate and I give you $20 and that's what my kid is going to do, but then Megan's kid is fundraising because he's like, oh my God, I've got to make sure that I got to pay for all of this, and then his money is now evenly distributed where I would have given you more. Like, do you see what I mean? I'm trying to.
I do. I
I'm-
just don't know if we set it up that way, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have to find that out.
Well, and I would say that, just to, again, talking about recognizing families have the different resources and all
Yeah.
of that, we don't really want to put a number out there, because what one person can do and what somebody else can do is totally different. So we have to be careful in that regard. To
Absolutely,
recognize,
100%.
you know what I mean?
And for
So some people want to know, hey, you know, what is the equivalent that would
Right.
be our share? But I don't, because we don't want anybody to ever feel like they have to do that. And I
Right.
think that
Right.
And
that
through
does
the
play
chair,
into it.
a club, like, the head of a club may say, like, hey, I'd like you to try to sell 10 units, but if you don't get to it, it's fine, but like, that's my goal for you.
Right.
But it's not like a forced goal usually, it's
Right,
more
well,
like a,
that's what I'm saying.
"Hey."
This wouldn't be a forced goal, like, you must pay this, but like, kind of like in hopes, we would love for all of our students to participate. We're looking to try to make at least $50 a kid for the buses or for the, you know what I mean? Like, we know what it's going to cost, not the foreign language, that is a different ball of wax, that's not going, like I said, to Hanover or to Six
But
Flags.
they don't usually fundraise, like, so for a lot of the field trips, they may charge, like at the middle school, right? And we very often, we still have our Helping Our Own fund. So very often, if we know a family can't afford it, then we have that fund that, you know, some of the classes have contributed to, that we can help out with that. But they don't necessarily, like, if they're going to Six Flags, they don't necessarily have a fundraiser to go. They might say, every child, you know, it's gonna cost $15 a student, or whatever it is.
Yeah, like whatever
That
they
way,
like.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but when I'm gonna look into it, I'm gonna ask, I think this would primarily be mostly at the high school, so I'm gonna check with those folks there to see what kind of things we've done in the past that might kind of fall that way, because I don't know off the top of my head.
And I'm not saying, I don't wanna discourage fundraising, because fundraising can be fun. You get out and you know, do the car wash and you do
Yep.
get everybody together, and it's community, and I love that. I just know that there are some people that are like, I work 2 jobs, I do this, how much money do you want? And they're just,
Yep, yep,
you know.
yep.
Through the chair, we run this by these activities, who usually do these fundraisers. I just wouldn't want to approve anything without knowing that, you know, it's not going to impact them. Because I do know how much fundraising can be beneficial
Mhm.
for them as well. So I just want to make sure that they're on board with the changes. If that makes sense.
All the teams and all of them.
We're probably not gonna be able to get to all the team. That would be a lot. But like, yeah, maybe like I don't know who does the majority of fundraising. Like,
Student council, sports.
but this just says sport. Is it just athletics or fine arts?
I thought that too, and that's why I asked. I've been reading it over.
It says Booster Club.
It's saying for this paragraph, I read exactly that, that's what I was gonna ask, but then I've read it a couple times. But it's
Okay.
saying that the committee supports student involvement in the sale of tickets to scheduled athletic events, school dramatic and musical performances.
Okay.
So that paragraph is just about school athletics and fine arts.
I just don't know enough about these changes because I haven't been involved in a lot of the high school fundraising, and I don't want to approve something without knowing that those who will be directly impacted by this are okay with the changes, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I suspect that some folks will not be happy that they have to get their fundraisers approved. But what we found was happening is that, number one, we didn't even know in some cases that people were fundraising. And we didn't know that we needed a student activity account set up for something. And fundraising should be done for a purpose. We had some cases where they were doing these fundraisers and then saying, okay, what can we do with this money? So that's kind of a backward approach to fundraising. You're fundraising for a specific purpose. So there's a need for a team or a group, you know, whatever that might be. And so this is going to change the process for them, and it's going to make it more of a process. But if you know that the place where some schools and people who work in schools get in trouble is student activity accounts, because so many different people are involved in the collecting of the funds and all those things. And when Mrs. Stanek came in, it was a bit of a mess, quite honestly. Things weren't like they needed to be. So this is all being tied to also significant training for if you are running something, if you're running a class or a fundraiser, what do you do with that money? How is it processed? How quickly does it have to be processed? How are we keeping track of it? What form do you use? What has to be in there? So this is all trying to tie this together. You know, many school districts have, like, they've worked out a fundraising calendar, right? So that football doesn't have 3 in the fall, and that's an exaggeration, obviously, right? But then there aren't any for, you know, girls lacrosse didn't get anything, right? Because when they finally got to do theirs, people were kind of burnt out with the fundraisers because there was so much here. So it is also trying to build in some equity across the board so that we're not oversaturating the community, yet these groups are allowed to do what they need to do for the things that they've identified they need.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a change, without a doubt.
So
I just will have to personally look into it a little bit more because I don't want to vote on something I don't know enough about.
Oh, no, and I wasn't pushing a vote tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that maybe we don't have to get to the 3rd read, so maybe
Yeah.
the next time
I can do some
we
research.
can have some more information.
One other question, just not really sure, school colors, so all team clothing required must be purchased in school colors? Is there a reason for that?
Unless otherwise approved by the athletic director or building principal.
Because it's team clothing,
This is.
All team clothing.
so like jerseys and
most
stuff.
schools.
Oh, for the jerseys.
Yeah.
It's not like if I'm selling a T-shirt. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay.
Well, and they do have an exception, so for instance, maybe in October, they want to wear pink for breast cancer
Yeah,
awareness.
yeah.
They just need to have that approved by the athletic director, because
Okay.
we want to support our teams and our school colors and our district colors. Just another
and
comment
blue.
through the
Oh.
chair. Just note that the MASC policy, the last time this was updated in our policy was October of 2016. So I did go to the MASC policy, which was updated in 2021. So those are also reflected within this policy to bring us up to date.
So this
we
is
were-
an MASC policy through the chair?
A portion of, most of this is, but we have
Okay.
also extended it because of the concerns that we had with what had been going on.
Okay.
And as the business manager, I need to be able to follow financial procedures and Mass General law and student activity accounts. So part of our audit, not this year, the year last summer, was our student activities procedures and manuals and what wasn't being followed. And part of the student activities procedure manual is these two school committee policies that
Okay.
needed to be updated.
But I can look, the MASC one, we could compare.
Of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
Through the chair, I have two questions/concerns based on my own experience. It does say here, like gambling. And I know, I don't know if staff know this, but last I checked, raffles is considered
Gambling.
gambling. And I believe you need to get like an okay from the town. So I'm wondering, just to be extra safe, if we should put in there that also like raffles as well, because a lot of people don't realize, and then when I've told my own colleagues, like, they're like, we're gonna do a raffle. I'm like, no, you can't. You gotta go to the town, you gotta get approval, and like, there's a lot of
You
rules
need a
behind it.
permit for
Yeah, you need a
it,
permit.
and everyone needs to have an equal chance of winning. So you'd have to give out a free ticket or something along
Yeah,
those
so there's
lines.
a lot of rules behind that. And the other one, and I don't, and this, Jen, you might need to weigh in on this, but do we have a policy for how long, once cash is collected, that it needs to go in?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because I'm wondering if we should also have that in here, that any cash collected, I didn't see it, but I could have missed it, that any cash collected needs to be in within like a 48-hour period, or like if an event is on a weekend, then it can be like 2 business days or something.
So all of that is included in the student activities
Okay,
policies
all right, good.
and procedures manual. This is just strictly the fundraising.
Okay,
um,
good, okay, because that to
school
me
committee policy.
is like, I've seen people hold cash for like a year and a half. You
Yeah.
can't, it's not good.
Well, and that was some of the
That is
things
why
that
we are
had to get
having
cleaned
our
up.
annual
Yeah.
trainings and
Through
all
the
of
chair,
that.
I will say that, so I didn't think of raffles under gambling, but I will say that it was last spring. I think it was, I won't name a district, but it was a district out toward Boston, and for a senior night, they had just like Auburn Youth and Family, they have the gambling tables, like the roulette and
Oh,
that-
no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
And they had it on TV. I was flabbergasted. So when I saw this, that was immediately what I went to. Because, yeah, they did, that was a
mean,
big
many-
night for them.
Many
But they
moons
made
ago,
good
we used to
money.
have parents that would do raffles, and that they, like, I forget when it was, but we had a new superintendent come in, he's like, no more. And
Yeah.
we're like, really? And he's like, nope, you need a permit. We didn't even know.
So I have a question. Where does PTO fall in this?
It doesn't.
They're not gonna.
So I know
Because-
that, but I mean,
Their own
they're
entity.
I mean, they'll let-
totally separate.
They are separate,
But-
and they kind of take care of their own money and all of that. However, so we're not gonna be asking them to submit to us what they're doing for fundraising. However, I will say, and this is years ago, there is something in here about not, you can't reward kids for, right, for raising the most money
Yeah,
kind of thing.
the
and that-
jogathon
That's,
thing.
yeah, that's
The
something that.
magazine one where they can win.
Well, the jogathon class gets ice cream, some
Yeah.
kids win a bike or some, there's
Yeah.
the biggest,
Yeah.
raisers. So
You
I was
can't regulate
wondering
that the PTO does that?
where that would
I
fall
don't
into
think so.
place with this.
Some places do include the other organizations within their policy. We chose not to, and our PTO or the Athletic Booster Club, they are separate 501c
Yeah.
Right.
organizations. They have to follow
Okay.
their rules and regulations.
Because this lists the Booster Club. So are they part of us under our umbrella or like the 501c3?
Where are you looking, Jesse?
Right in this paragraph here, it
Oh, yeah,
talks
fourth
about
paragraph.
Booster Club sports fundraisers must be approved by the athletic director.
Well, so that specifically for the Booster Club is because there's this idea of a lack of equity across teams, right? And I think the idea with this is really for us is to get a handle on what exactly is out there and going on for fundraisers, and are things being spread equitably across teams. So that's the whole idea about that they don't do more for one. I mean, you know, you might do more for a bigger team, obviously, but to try and get a handle on how this plays out across our teams.
Okay.
And
All
through
right.
the chair, there is a big push and usage of online giving, where you're not selling anything, and you just push out a notice to families like, hey, we're having a fundraiser, and they just are donating online.
What is that called, Jen? There's Snap.
Snap fundraising, and we've been approached a lot by that company, and lots and lots of districts and lots of athletic teams are doing that. So in talking to the, athletic director, he's read through the policy and everything. We feel that it's only equitable and fair that we have an idea of who's doing what, so that one team doesn't raise $20,000 and one team doesn't get to raise anything because you just tapped all the community, and that team has $20,000 to use and the other team has nothing.
So we would allow SNAP or regulated or not allowed at
It
all?
would be regulated.
Regulated.
Everything would need to go through the approval of the athletic director, the principals, the superintendent.
Okay.
Who are the big fundraisers right now? Like what teams? Is it like football, or all of them?
It's football.
Football?
Yeah, they all do it. Like
Remember-
hockey had a couple last year, though.
The
Soccer always runs something.
Our clubs have, the clubs have also done
Well, like the
things.
grade, each grade, because they're
Grade,
fundraising
class.
for all of
Yeah, the
their
class,
class
yeah,
trips
yeah.
and all that. So they do a lot of that too.
Okay.
But, if you thought about that, and if 3 of those groups were all doing a SNAP fundraiser, I could potentially be asked 3 times through those SNAP things to give money. Now, it's not the end of the world, and of course, I don't have to give, right?
Right.
But it also shouldn't be carte blanche to let everybody can do what they want when they want, So this isn't trying to stop it. We need it. We appreciate it. We appreciate the people that organize them and do them. But it really has been a little bit of the Wild West out there with people just doing their own thing. So this is the attempt to just, you should have a good idea of what all the fundraisers are going on in a district. We don't have a good outline of that right now.
So a lot of organizations and booster clubs will do like the calendar raffle. Now, if we're not going to allow raffles, that's a month long. In that calendar, there might be a giant barrel of wine. Like, are we prohibiting that? Like, where we?
But that's the
We're not gonna,
boosters.
yeah, I was saying through the chair, that's, if you're saying the
Okay, I
booster, the
see.
PTO,
Yeah.
we don't have regulations over what they're doing in their 501c.
But I don't think a
So,
club
we
should
have-
be offering a basket of
Basket of wine.
wine.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
like the
kids-
Spanish club.
kids- Yeah.
We don't need like,
Alcohol sales and
yeah, that shouldn't be.
whatnot is-
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, can we add in here somewhere that this does not apply to 501c3? Because I can picture PTO reading this and being like, what the heck, Somewhere just a disclaimer like this does not include,
And
although it
prohibited items
mentions
to be
booster
raffled
club.
would probably be
But-
helpful.
I think it just it's asking the booster club
Because the
to
next is gonna be scratched,
get
I think,
approval, just to say like, hey, we're doing this. It's not saying we can't, it's just saying.
So if we add that, then the Athletic Booster Club is a 501c3. So if we said this isn't gonna include those, then it'll go back to, we don't know what these athletic teams are doing.
But I think there's a balance. I think we have to go and rework this, and I get that point. But I think to say that just the idea of what are you fundraising for and who you're fundraising, we can ask for that, but we're not telling them what they can do for the fundraiser. Do you know what I'm saying? I think we have to tease that out a little bit. So we're gonna go back to the drawing board a little bit with some of that.
But do have what they can't do, I guess.
Yeah.
Because everyone likes wine, and I would raffle and enter any raffle for wine, so.
A lot of money.
Okay, and we have another one. Do you want to, oh, we're not passing anything, or no?
No,
we're
no.
not Tonight
Nope.
on anything.
First
Okay.
reading.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I just want to say that I really like on the second page, third paragraph down, that should the class not request to have their funds removed from the student activity checking account within 1 year, the funds will be forfeited by the class to the Helping Our Own Fund. I think that's a great way to handle, like, the money that's just sitting there, because I think that allows us to help students that might need it. So I think that that'll be very much like, it's not going anywhere else other than helping other kids to get what they need. So I like that.
And through the
We do
chair,
that
just
for the
so
nursing
everybody
clinic.
is aware, everything in black was the policy that already existed.
Yep.
The red is only the changes. And again, this was something that MASC updated in 2021, and we had not added those to our policy.
Super fun
Super fun.
raising.
See what you did.
No pun intended.
Yeah, the 2-pager I.
Two pager, I
okay.
don't have an issue with at all.
All right, so no questions or comments on the student activity accounts?
So we'll have that on the next agenda for a second read.
Yep.
Okay. Are we done with, we beat that to death?
That's it.
I
Okay.
think we beat it enough.
Mr. Keller, it's your turn now.
All right.
PowerPoint time.
Well, you have it in front of you. The mouse is funky, so I'm glad I printed it. So I'm just gonna jump into the printed copy. I'm sorry, it's not colorful. I was trying to save money by doing black and white. So I'll start with a couple highlights from summer. As I've mentioned to you before, summer, and as you certainly know, Samantha, summer gives the opportunity for teachers to slow things down, rest and reflect, and prepare some curriculum. So I want to talk to you about some curriculum projects that our teachers did, but also I want to start with our Title I Summer Academic Camp. So that ran for 4 weeks this year. We made a slight change because we had a little less Title I funding. So in the past, we've gone 4 days out of the week. This year, we did 3 days. And I'll show you a survey at the end where we asked parents how they felt about that. And so it ran from July 15th to August 7th. The coordinator this year was Jillian Anderson, who many of you know is a teacher at Bryn Mawr. Last year it was Jill Clough, and I just want to say we're always looking for opportunities to give teachers leadership experiences, and so this has been a really nice addition to what we're able to offer. As I think you know, Jill Clough is an assistant principal. Not saying that the Title I summer camp coordinator position vaulted her into that position, but it's good for people to have that experience. And I will say that Jillian did an amazing job as the coordinator communicating. So there's a couple highlights in here that we included. So just so you know, Title I is federal funding that we get to help close achievement gaps in our schools, and we get that funding for our grades K through 5. So you'll see the pictures in here of kids throughout grades K through 5, where we're doing academic work, but also in a hands-on fashion, having opportunities to interact with numbers, words, vocabulary, literature, etc., in a fun, relaxed environment and in a small class size. This program runs beside the ESY program that's run by Mr. Walton, and Carrie Cox took over kind of the latter part of that. So 2 great offerings that we offer to our students over the course of the summer. That one, the ESY program is obviously for students in special education. This is for students where they have been identified as needing some additional support. The other piece of this that you'll see in here is pictures. We also have funding from the state on our English learners, and so we were able to offer a program for our English learners this year, K through 8 actually. And so you can see some pictures in there where our EL tutors worked to have students have conversations and work through, there's some baking that they did. I was able to sample some of the treats that they prepared. And it's constantly engaging in conversation, getting out and interacting with other students. So all in all, a really positive program. I'm going to hold off on the last two slides and just jump to the color piece of paper that I gave to you. This is a survey that we gave to parents afterwards. And you can take a look at that. I won't go through everything, but the first page of this is kind of demographics. So what grades the students are in. The last question on there is which schedule would you prefer for next summer? And the majority of people talked about liking the 3-day schedule and being Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I believe it was one person, or maybe it might have been two. My percentages might be off, but who preferred the 4 days. So there was a general feeling that they liked the 3-day schedule this year. On the back side of that was effective communication from program staff. By and large, people gave that a 5, which was the highest rating on there. Were you provided with adequate information about the program? Again, by and large, people felt very strongly about that. Questions and concerns addressed in a timely manner. Everybody said yes, and the one person who didn't say yes said that they didn't have any questions. And then how satisfied were you with your child's overall summer school experience? Again, extremely positive in that regard, where 12 out of 13 respondents felt that it was a 5 on a 5-point scale. And then we had 2 questions that followed. What suggestions do you have for improving? And you could take a look at those, but there was, by and large, everybody had really positive things to say. The one piece of feedback that Jillian and I talked about was, wanting some email communication from the classroom teacher, just a general note about what kids are working on. And then the last question we asked was, is there anything that you'd like to share? And there's comments about looking forward to having a sibling attend next year, and getting kids back into that kind of environment, extremely beneficial. Reinforce what happened over the course of the school year. So I was really pleased with the feedback that we got, really pleased with the job that Jillian did in coordinating the program, and was able to see a lot of kids enjoying extending their school year, not walking in being upset about having to walk into school.
That's hard to accomplish very much this summer, so
No question.
that's awesome.
So that was a Title I summer academic camp, and then the last thing I just wanted to talk to you about, as I started with, was about teacher curriculum projects. As you know, I talk a lot to you all over the course of the year about professional development that we offer through the course of the year. That is many times led by principals, grade level leaders, myself, talking about what things we want to pursue. A lot of that has been restorative justice, UDL, cultural competency. The summer gives an opportunity for teachers to apply to get certain number of hours to work together, either in small groups or with a teaching partner, to pursue different things. So we had 94 teachers educators, because it wasn't just all teachers, working on a variety of curriculum projects. Again, I won't read through everything that's on here, but a lot of it was focused on our new iReady program that's been implemented K through 8, and I'll talk about that at a future meeting. Empowering writers has been a big focus, K to 8, as you certainly well know. We had a lot of teachers working on that and integrating that with science, social studies, and even math. And then UDL continues to be at the forefront of what we're offering. So we had a lot of teachers working on UDL practices, our health and wellness standards, and implementing those. And so it was great. I was able to go through all those projects, as part of that process is having to submit their final projects, and be able to really kind of hit the ground running on day one. And so the teachers did a great job, and I'm pleased to be able to support this program.
Awesome. How many teachers?
94.
94.
Wow,
That's
that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
So through the chair, we're gonna have new projects about like rainwater and like the whole
Oh, yes,
thing.
yeah, without
I'm
question.
ready.
Yes,
Yeah, those are my favorite when they come in.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, well, thank you, as I always say, thank you to the staff, well, all those involved over the summer to make all this happen. So it's
A lot of good work.
really a heavy lift, and we appreciate it. So it's great. All right, thank you. We'll move on to Mrs. Stanek for the business financial report.
All right, so in your packet, I provided you with the omnibus transfers that were from July 18th and July 22nd for your information, as agreed last May, which was done for the purpose of closing out the fiscal year 2025. And then also you have the 3 separate memos that were sent to town accountant CFO Karen Harnois regarding the closing of the FY '25 budget and the various articles or, school department articles, the carry forward request, as well as the previous year articles, and those had been all approved for carryover for us. As well.
Yes, I was very excited to see there's a tick treatment done at every school. That's something like you don't
It is,
think of.
and
So,
it's organic.
oh, good. Good. Caught my eye.
And then, as is customary each year, I've provided you with the school department revolving gift and student activities accounts. It was updated on August 20th. This is for your acceptance and approval for the FY '26 school year.
Okay. Seek a motion to approve those.
I'll make the motion to approve the FY '26 fiscal year, the list of revolving gift and student activities accounts as presented by the business manager.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then you now have a listing, a year-to-date budget report for the FY '26 school year. Obviously, this is just started, and I do not have any budget transfers, as we are still busy hiring and moving salaries and those things. So next time I will have, budget transfers for your approval. And next time we're gonna talk a little bit about, my reports and, well, those, maybe some exciting changes.
Ooh, pretty pictures and things.
Come with it.
A high bar. So.
Yeah, right? And then we get to you and it's like, rah, rah.
We would like a PowerPoint.
Exactly.
Oh,
No,
I can't
no, we do
wait.
not
Poor
want
Alan.
PowerPoint. Through the chair, she's speaking for herself.
I'm looking forward to seeing those changes.
For next time. And then, last piece is I've provided you the proposed school department articles for the fall special town meeting, which is scheduled for October 28th, 2025, at 6 PM at Auburn High School. These warrant articles have been included for your review and approval, as they will need to be sent to the town on or before September 12th. So, as discussed a little bit earlier, Swanson Road project, we are looking to repurpose $150,000 from Swanson Road building rehab for air quality improvements. That was part, we'll be able to repurpose that because Mr. Fahey is working with the town and all of the ARPA funds and the Greens community, so he will not need those funding. And then the other piece is to repurpose $25,000 for Auburn High School because we have had some roof and drainage issues at the front portico. And the pricing for the parking lot resurfacing, we will not need to use all of the funds for that.
Awesome.
And then also included is just the fiscal year 2022 and the fiscal year 2024, the capital improvement project, so you can see where we will be repurposing those funds.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Stenick? Sam, you good?
Everything is basically working out just about even through the chair, sorry.
Meeting up.
Like, so I'm just, my eyes are going a little cross-eyed, we're on our 5th page. But it looks like everything, I mean, we're just a few thousand off from, like, so like the school total over here in 22 is 917, but then over here it's 845.
Those are two different fiscal years.
Okay, so this
The
is.
totals, the total for the capital cannot change because those have already been voted on through
Okay,
town meetings.
so this is the total for this is the total, okay.
Correct.
So we have less money.
Each year is a little bit different.
year.
We
Okay.
don't get the same exact amount each year for capital improvement.
Okay.
It's always kind of in this ballpark, 800, 900, sometimes a little over 1,000, depending upon what the need is. But from year to year, it's usually different
Okay,
to some
Yes.
degree.
okay.
And what we've tried to do as well, fortunately, we've been able to do it this year, is when money has already been approved and designated for a certain school, so we had the $150,000 for HVAC at Swanson, What the town appreciates is when you can repurpose money for the same building, so it's
Okay.
not going to it, like from Swiss to Bryn Mawr or something like that.
Got it.
And likewise, the money at the high school that was there for parking, we're gonna be able to use to fix the drainage on the front portico, so.
Okay. Okay, that makes a little more sense, because I'm sitting here
Yeah.
going, I'm like, okay, this is like, wait a minute.
Yeah, every
Yes.
year is a little different.
Yep.
Every year is a little different.
Question, the
excuse me.
kitchen upgrades at Bryn Mawr, were we able to use some of the excess money from, the food department, or was that CIP money?
No,
That
that,
was-
anything that happens in the food department is funded by food department
Okay,
money.
all right, good.
So she has more than enough money to
yeah,
do that.
definitely.
So all the new equipment, she's been upgrading things, they're putting in, yeah, and my understanding is next year they're gonna look at the other half of the kitchen, like where the cabinets are.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it all at once, but it's, you know how it is, when you do work in your house and one thing looks nice and shiny and then the other part looks a little shabby. But no, none of that comes out of our CIP or our budget, it all comes out of the money, the food
Great.
service money.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So she's done some great improvements around, the district with that.
I do need to ask for your approval of the warrant articles.
I'll make a motion to approve this, the school department warrant articles for the October 28th, 2025 fall meeting as presented by the business manager.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
It's a vote. And we do not need executive session,
You do not?
so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's a vote.